When you search for information about how to improve your guitar solos, you often just run into play in key, play in tempo, listen to the chord changes, and those are all great advice, but here are a few things everybody is overlooking, and if you master these, you will be ahead of everybody else. First thing we're going to do is keep this video simple and start with something I've already introduced to you before, which is playing a lyrical solo. And in even simpler terms, that just means your phrasing should just be like words coming out of your mouth, but you're playing it on the guitar instead, and it can have a good sound like this. And you get the point. You just create a rhythm of words in your head, put it on the guitar. Now, number 2 is something I guarantee you have never heard anyone tell you to pay attention to, but once you start doing this, you're gonna notice a huge difference in your intention behind different sections of your solo, and that is to pay attention to the note length. It sounds really dumb and small, but when you contrast the solo section from fast and then we switch to something slow like this, it creates a very different emotional swing, which is a super powerful tool to use in the middle of your solo to make a real statement, especially when the chords and drums create a really good tension for it. The third one is going to be an extension of listening to the chords behind the backing track. Everyone hears this, but no one knows this super simple secret you can implement to 10x your solo with one move, and that is playing less. Whenever we play less or we hang a note, it'll have a lot more power when a chord changes, especially if it's an unexpected chord change or a chord change we haven't heard in the backing track yet. And the reason this is also so effective is so many solos you hear from guitarists of almost any level that we just play too much for our own good, and sometimes you actually just have to let the chords and the drums and the bass tell the story too, instead of only leaning on the guitar for emotion. Since we're still on the idea of the chord progression, our fourth tip that's super overlooked is going to be repeating the same phrase over different chords. And this is really powerful and why, popular music and stuff is so catchy, with the same vocal melody running over different chords, blah, 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 it reharmonizes. Super big explanation you don't really need as long as you just understand repetition of the same line over chords is going to burn it into people's brain. And if you want your solos to be remembered and people to think are really cool, first thing you have to do is start using repetition. To build on to this really fundamental idea, you need to understand melodic blocks. Melodic blocks, such as an AV/AC block, are super important because it's how you lay out your melody and understand when something is repeating and when something is breaking or changing in expectation. For example, our A phrase is just, let's say, da-da-da. And then our B phrase is da-da, right? So we say da-da-da, da-da, da-da-da, but then our C phrase is different than our B phrase, and let's say it's da-da-da-da, right? It changes from A to B, and your brain really wants to hear B again, but you break the expectation to A, and now your brain kind of expects it to be A, B, A, B, and then what this does is create repetition in the A phrase, really memorable. This B phrase then becomes expected at the C, and since the C phrase breaks that expectation, it can be a very outstanding line that is super important. So when we think about our solos in these melodic blocks, we actually understand which lines are more important and which lines you can leave more space in the melody for the chords and drums to shine instead of your selfish guitar. And the final guitar solo secret I guarantee you are not expecting because of how drastically overlooked it is you need to start paying attention to this low end of the fretboard. A bad habit I especially used to have when trying to play solos was I would rely so much on these high strings and only play these low strings really when we're down here below the 12th fret. And this was probably the dumbest thing I could have done. Eliminating like a third of the fretboard is just eliminating a third of the emotion to keep it really simple. But if we think about it further, these bass notes up here, kind of more powerful when you hang on to them. So using that same dynamic of note lengths, we can even pair it with using our low ends to play these really drawn out lines. It can create really, really good contrast paired with melodic blocks to make your solos repetitive, interesting, and then have really, really big emotional points that they get led up to. You are finally going to have solos other people just cannot play on their own because they don't understand these 5 underrated guitar solo hacks that you now understand. And of course, if you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. And if you have any recommendations on how I can improve the content for you, please leave them below. And any video suggestions, also leave those too.